to make sure you get home safely to your wives, your sisters and brothers.
Yes. You're thinking for yourself, thinking for other passengers as well. So a lot of mathematics is involved there to ensure that you're staying safe. And there statistics actually show that the highest number of accidents is coming from private car users.
I don't know, the people of Machakos and Nyandarua should tell us what is happening there.
And we had a comment here this morning from Mombasa Road. Someone was given work to retarmac the lower part of the expressway, which is Mombasa Road. Instead ya ku-tarmac wali laminate.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I think I would concur with what Nick Madime is saying. Actually, these leaders of ours have turned Kenya into a football pitch. It's a throw. So it is until an accident happens on a certain road that bumps need to be put. Didn't you know this?
Right.
Who was responsible? Who are the contractors of this? And especially now in our rural areas where we have a lot of people who are illiterate, if a road is not well maintained and there are chaos all over, we want this road, the MCA or whoever is concerned will come and say, you know, now this road is part of the national government, you know? So tell me where these people, these rural people will get the national government.
Yeah.
And maybe it's out of ignorance. They do not know where that the road is under the national government or under the MCA.
I'll point out to a failure of civic education, I think.
Yeah, true.
Right.
There is no civic education. These people do not know. So if you tell them, if the MCA comes and says, you see, this road is under the national government until they release money, until what, then the people wait for the national government. While actually that road is as simple as the MCA's responsibility. So I think leaders should stop these blame games.
Okay.
It is this. They know what is supposed to be done. Just do what is supposed to be done.
It's hilarious that during the campaigning periods, when you look at manifestos, you will find the MCA, Amandika, improved roads. MP, roads. Governor, roads.
Yes.
President, roads. But when it's time for responsibility.
To implement, no one is there. It's a blame game thing.
People actually don't understand the mandate of MCA, Member of Parliament, and the Senate.
Yeah.
That's where our troubles, Richard, start.
Okay.
Because largely the MCA is a member of county assembly. He's in charge of making laws and policies at the county level. So as the MP at the National Assembly. So as the senator at the Senate. I will suggest, in my own opinion, because largely as politicians we have capitalized on the CDF. Now I know they want to popularize a fund for the member of county assembly. I will suggest, rather than we going that route whereby we put a lot of mandate and we use this as a campaign tool, logically, for the future of this country, let us equally devolve the roads and infrastructure. Let us put the county at task. If Nairobi County is supposed to have, let's say, 100 roads within these time frames, we the people put the governor at task, because the governor has a sitting executive, right? He has a county executive committee in charge of roads and infrastructure. Let us put them on the spot, telling them that these are the laborers you told us that you'll deliver. You said you'll build a road, you didn't build it. Now go home. We, at the end of the day, it goes back to us as Kenyans, because we are the people who elect our leaders. And we know sometimes when we elect bad leaders, like we did in this government, I want to say it very softly.
Actually seeing or witnessing road construction, proper and serious road construction, for example, in my county, Nyandarua. Main roads, these are roads that were constructed long ago. I mean, to the interiors of my home place. ni kama umetoka shamba, haujulikani ni kutoka umetoka shamba ama ndio unaingia kwa shamba. You get? Because the roads are so poor. And we want to put them to task. And now that we are learned, we are going to face you leaders, so that you do what is expected of you.
Warning shots already as we begin this conversation. I love it. Let's go to page 5, where we find man like Raila Odinga. It's very hard to miss Raila Odinga on the.
Well, he is an enigma.
Actually, if I not for the very serious story that we have today, and it's actually I was going to say, why not for the serious story of Kevin Kiptum? We'd have seen Raila Odinga at the front pages, but the Standard has him still. You know, still has to find
they had
not touch our secret
you need
organs.
to sell your paper, so Raila Odinga has to be in there. So Raila Odinga has something to say here, and he's showing up just before President William Ruto. So we'll get President William Ruto in a few. He says that the Office of the National Security Advisor is an attempt by Kenya Kwanza to create a new national security organ outside of the provisions of the Constitution. And I pause there to point out to the fact that since the Kenya Kwanza government came into power, the biggest or the underlying phrase across all contentious issues has been, it's outside the provisions of the constitutions. It is against the constitution. They want to pay through its citizen. It's against the you want to, what was the previous one? Housing levy, outside of the constitution. Sending police to Haiti, it's outside of the constitution.
True.
Makes you wonder.
Passport issue.
Passport, outside of the constitution. IDs, outside of the constitution.
What constitution are they following?
I will tell you, Richard.
I think, before you tell me, I just came to realize that I shouldn't be surprised by a president who opposed the constitution.
Not
in
really,
the first
Richard.
place.
I will not even go in that regards rather. This is a man who was sworn in, and he chose deliberately to lift the sword rather than the constitution. So what do we expect?
He talks more of the sword than the constitution.
Yes, so Kenyans should not get surprised by a man who deliberately does not want to follow the constitution.
That one hit my head.
Oh
yeah,
you see, as a leader, you have
the sword.
The sword and less of the constitution.
And he deliberately, and you see, thousands and thousands of Kenyans at Kasarani Stadium cheered and were clapping very highly when Ruto was lifting the sword. Well, he recently said, mnadhania hii sword ni ya kukata mboga.
So unataka kusema ameanza kukata.
Oh, he started.
Ndio hii ashakata. So opposition leader is saying that parliament has no power unless through a constitutional amendment to alter the mandate of the National Security Council. So maybe to put it into perspective before I hear what Grace has to say there. Opposition leader Raila Odinga has told the KK administration, I have so many things to say about Kenya Kwanza. Even with that KK, the abbreviation itself, in another part of this world, KK means something completely different and evil, right? Anyway, so they're planning to create a new office of the National Security Advisor, which does not currently fit into the current structure. And so Kenya Kwanza is just sort of creating a new office. I have two questions to pose to you guys before you respond. One, of course, it's about constitutionalism, which the president doesn't seem to care so much about. He was seen quoting an article of the Constitution.
Section 25.
Section 25, which I don't know which constitution he's reading from, which was completely opposite of what he was saying. And two, how come Raila is speaking against the creation of an office that is outside of the constitution when he has been in support of the creation of the office of the official opposition, which isn't in the constitution? Grace, I'll begin with you there. Your reactions, and then you can answer my questions in between.
I don't want to be weird to the president because as simple as what the constitution stipulates, he is not able to protect that. Rather, he brings in his own, I don't know where he's called, he brings on his own constitution and tries to put and fix things and everything. Look at his tenure now up to this time. How many things have been rejected?
I'd forgotten about the CASs, by the way, also unconstitutional.
Very unconstitutional. Everything. The High Court, the Supreme Court states it's unconstitutional. What is this you're doing? What is stipulated in the Constitution is simple, and you're not able to protect. You know, as simple things. Then you bring in a contradicted whatever. You cannot even explain why you want to force issues. You want to even surpass which is the responsibility of the National Assembly. You want to jump who are you? I mean, what do you want? He's just a contradicted man, and we just need a sober president.
He's a sober president, though. He says he doesn't drink, he doesn't do any drugs.
No, he is not sober to this point where he tries to force everything, and not considering especially the Kenyans who are facing very tough economic times. And instead of dealing with such simple things where you can now bring your people together, they are content, they are not hungry, you know, they are not complaining about meds and basic issues. You bring in other issues that are secondary. We don't even need them. We don't need these things. We need as simple as economic amendments that will be easy on Kenyans. Now, if as easy as dropping unga, day in, day out, taxes are going up. Now you have you want to create your own positions here which are unconstitutional. What do you think Kenyans will react about it? They'll be hurt. They are hurt. They'll not be hurt. They are bleeding already. And we think, I would say like Raila, it is very unconstitutional, and we need to know where he is reading, which constitution he's referring to.
For a president who also touted and parroted during the campaigns that, you know, hao wengine wanataka tu kuunda cheo. Ameunda cheo mingi sana. Ameunda cheo mingi zaidi.
Sana.
So it's very contradicting, as you said, from what he says and what he does. But Nick,
yes.
President William Ruto juzi amesema that no matter what names you guys want to call him, hata Grace leo akiamua mbandike jina mpya, Zakayo, mbandike ngine juzi mwana Vasco Danganya, many other Bluetooth president, he will still do what he thinks is best. Is what he's doing what is best, and also, you know, tying it to this creation of new offices and constitutional offices. And I still need your reactions on why Raila is speaking against this and not the office of the opposition.
This is how I look at it, Richard, on a political angle. One, President Ruto, or Mr. Ruto, nowadays we call him Mr. Ruto. Mr. Ruto he's known for diversion of the serious and core issues. We know that the conversation last week was about housing, right? The court has nullified that program, or that whatever the levy that he's doing. And we've recently seen the Attorney General being summoned at the Parliament and saying that the same thing, that this program will hurt so many Kenyans and also the economy. So one thing is, even the AG agrees with the
Kenyans.
With the court.
With the court as well, yeah.
Secondly, the office of the National Security Advisor, the person who's appointed, will sit as the secretary to the National Security Council.
Yeah.
Now, politically, I wanted to bring you back to 2022. It is the National Security Council that was basically in charge of maintaining security measures during the elections.
Yes.
That's why we saw former head of service, Joseph Kinyua, we saw Matiangi, we saw being on a technicality in charge of election. Now, this is a man who clearly knows that this is a body that is powerful in determining or in determination of handover of power. So I can as easily manipulate this process at this juncture if in any case I don't do what, I don't win. So that's where Raila is coming in and saying that this mandate, you cannot claim it. It's a mandate of the parliament, which is protected by the constitution.
All right.
Coming back to your question about the office of the opposition, because that's where it really concerns you, Richard. Well, so many democracies, and we know, if you go to any serious democracy, including our neighbors, Tanzania, they have established a serious office of opposition. Rather, and you see, one thing I like about Raila, he's not doing it behind the scenes. He's open about it. He's willing to have a conversation about it, Richard. One thing about Mr. Ruto, he alluded that he's not interested in positions, not interested in creating titles for himself. But right now we're having an office called Office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary. What does it say?
An irony.
Oh, that's another unconstitutional one.
Yeah.
It is still in court.
Mr. Raila Odinga warns that the occupant of the office, which is that national, in the National Security Council, the security advisor, right? He says that the occupant of this office is literally just a personal aide of the president, between him and other security organs.
Yes.
He will be receiving direct instructions.
So he's appointed an executive bodyguard.
Yes. He'll be receiving direct instructions.
Direct orders.
From the president.
And of course, not guided by the constitution, because the position is not constitutional. Yes. So he follows the orders of the appointer. We are not fools.
Yes. So this is a man who is laying grounds for himself for CAM 2027. And we know those schemes. We have been there before. And we are going to be there for him. And we're not going to allow it. Because one thing, Richard, we might talk the whole day. But one thing, even if he says that we don't know politics, one thing me and Grace will say today, CAM 2027, Ruto must go.
Wow. I hope he's heard that, or someone just get him that message. Meambiwa hapo 2027 kutakuaje. Speaking of more unconstitutional activities, the Daily Nation, page 6 to 7, has the e-citizen nightmare that many Kenyans have been facing. The government says payments on that platform are supposed to curb revenue leakage. Apparently, so far, we've moved in terms of revenue collection. Previously, e-citizen was getting 50 million a day, and now it's 350 million every day. So they're saying now, if we do this for more of other organs, we'll get ourselves out of the debt situation.
And where is this
Every
money
Kenyan
going?
will prosper. Mbona mnapinga e-citizen?
Well,
where is what?
Where is this money going now that it has increased?
To our very good
where
government
is it going?
of Kenya
Because
Kwanza.
everyone is crying, left, right, and center. Salaries, the taxes everywhere. Where is this money? How is it helping? There are no meds in hospitals.
we were having a
There are no
conversation.
meds in hospitals. There are no passports.
There are no
There
passports.
are no IDs coming
Right
out.
now, my comrades are complaining about bursaries. Where is this money going exactly?
Good question. Nick.
I want to tackle it in two ways, Richard. One, probably you are aware of this. If you've been using e-citizen, there's usually, if you're paying for good conduct, it's 1,000 shillings, right?
Yes.
And then there's an extra transaction fee of
50
bob.
shillings.
That's usually tax, if you don't know.
Unalipa tax.
That is tax. Now, recently I was talking to a comrade from UON because they got a memo telling them that when they go to mess is where they eat, right? They're supposed to pay through
e-citizen.
Now, a food or a meal costing 40 bob.
Umeenda mbali hata.
He's being taxed.
Ugali ni 7 bob, mesi ya KU,
Yes.
na mboga ni 5 bob.
Yes, that is 12 bob.
Yes.
Right? Roughly, let me round it to 15 bob.
15 shillings.
Now, I'm supposed to pay through e-citizen. Now, imagine I'm paying through e-citizen with an extra amount of transaction fee of
50 shillings.
Now,
50 bob.
the food is, the transaction fee is more expensive than the
The
food.
meal that you're having. Yani unalipa tax ndo ukule.
That is point number one. Point number two, Richard, to so many of us that know the lifestyle of growing up to the village, so many of our parents used to take our children to school in kind manner. a mom or a dad will decide that I don't have money to pay this school. Maybe it is, let me use me and Richard school in Nairobi. So let me use your school, not in a bad way, Madam President. Which school did you go to?
Muricho Primary.
Yes, Muricho Primary. She's doing a nice project there in that school. On one thing about mentorship, I've been following it up. So Muricho Primary, parents are not able to pay school fees, but they will tell the principal, now that we cannot afford to pay, we'll be delivering firewood to this school until we're able to do what? It compensates fully the school fees arrears. Now these parents are asking me to tell you, Richard, today, how are they going to pay with firewood at the e-citizen portal?
In kind. Yeah, they're paying with githeri.
Some parents bring milk
yes.
to the schools. They supply milk, and it compensates the school fees of the daughter or the son. Others bring, maybe maize. They have harvested a lot of maize. They come compensate the maize with school fees.
Yes.
Of course, this fees is being paid to buy the maize for food for the students.
Right.
So how is that going to be compensated?
Yes.
And how will that work?
Yes. And then finally, the functionality of e-citizen, we all know.
That's the nightmare that they're saying here.
The functionality.
Nightmare. It's a nightmare.
Right, that the three of us can log in into an e-citizen portal. It hangs.
Three of us.
You don't know if the transaction, the process is successful or not. Yeah. But the money is?
Money is gone. The money is gone. I actually have a very apt example here from the Daily Nation on page 7, where there is a parent saying that they've been paying NHIF for more than 10 years, but the problem started this year after the change from the pay bill number to e-citizen pay bill. NHIF management maintains that I paid last for the service in December 2023, but M-Pesa statement zake shows that she paid in January. So as you've said there, transaction is complete,
yes,
but government is like, you're not
seeing this money.
Pesa. So maybe explains why sometimes we hear that money is lost in the ministries now.
Well,
no one can track it. Is it the culture they want to devolve to?
I want to advise Mr. Ruto, because apparently he's a guest worker in the matters of economy.
Yeah.
He thinks he's best.
Who's a guest worker? Sorry?
Mr. Ruto. He's doing a lot of guesswork because he has advised himself that he's going to make a lot of money through his citizen. I don't know who's advising him.
So he's plotting with Kenya. He's doing a plot with our country. I want to advise him.
Even leaders who want to do changes, they don't do them abruptly. They do it progressively.
It's a process.
It's a process. We are in year 2. We are still struggling with the new health coverage. Kenyans are still digesting it. Now you're telling them that's not enough. You're going to move into e-citizen. You're going to move into house levy. You're going to move into a lot of shenanigans. Please, let us be serious. The cost of electricity is still high.
Should we tell him to come slowly?
The cost. No, Richard. It is very devastating that if you buy units, electricity units, for 700 shillings, the tax that you're being taxed is 500 shillings. That the amount of units you receive are measured into 200 shillings. That approximately, that's around 71%.
Unalipa tax, upewe stima.
Imagine.
Unalipa tax, upewe food.
Wangwana pale walikuwa wananiuliza, sasa tutajenga nyumba tuende kukaa kwa giza.
The other thing about this broken system and e-citizen nightmare is that recently people have been trying to get services. Okay, let's come onto the platform. The government says it has now 19,000 services on e-citizen, but this page is displaying Kenyans who are either in long queues and have not received their services in hospitals, as you had earlier said, here in banks, second-hand vehicle traders, patients, poor services on that platform, which recently was under attack. If you guys can remember, sometime back in in 2023, we had a cyber attack where e-citizen platform was down for a couple of hours, financial services in banks, M-Pesa as well for a couple of hours. And eCitizen was actually the last one to come back online. M-Pesa will fix your banks fix theirs, but of course the government had to scramble here and there. And it wasn't even a hack. It was an overload, as you said. If the three of us get onto the platform, we shall hang. On that day, some hackers from Sudan tried to test it out, and they overloaded the system with requests. It'll crash. Reminds us of that public disservice headline that we saw.
There's a huge, in the Standard, there's a huge headline